4 times from scratch. That's how many times I've rewritten my app called Boom Languages. Every time I did, I learned a ton, and in this video, I'm going to tell you the top 5 lessons I've learned along the way. Be sure to sign up to get notified when the latest version of Boom is available. Lesson number 1, just start. Any article focused on innovation or entrepreneurship will tell you this: start today, because if you put it off until tomorrow, then tomorrow will never come. I've read this advice many times, and when I finally applied it to my language app idea, it rang true. You can spend your whole life getting ready, but the truth is, many of the lessons you need can only be learned as you go. You have to jump in, even if you're woefully unprepared and lacking key skills. You'll learn them as you go. For me, this entailed creating a rough plan for my app, opening up a code editor, and typing those fateful keystrokes. Get in it. If I hadn't made that initial commit on November 28, 2020, the hundreds that followed may never have come to pass. I've built 4 versions of this app so far. Version 1 was just to show that I could get an app on the iOS and Android app stores. There was nothing special about it. It had a quiz feature, but so does every other major language learning app. Version 2 added a feature that would become key, the article translator. It's a tool that lets you break down a big, intimidating, dense body of text written in a foreign language into manageable pieces, sentences, so that you can work your way through it without getting overwhelmed. Version 3 was the exact same app, but rewritten from scratch using React Native instead of Flutter. And now I'm working on version 4, which is yet another complete rewrite from scratch. But if I had never just gone for it, I'd still be loafing around thinking about the next big idea. Curious to try the new version? You can sign up here to get notified when it's available. There's even a chance you'll be selected as an exclusive private tester. Lesson number 2, it's not just about the idea. Another classic piece of entrepreneurial advice comes from Derek Sivers, who introduced the thought that ideas are a multiplier of execution. Basically, it means that the way you execute an idea has far more leverage on whether you're successful than the idea itself. That's not to mention the fact that practicing your skills at executing ideas makes you better at it, so that when another $1 million idea comes floating into your head, you'll be ready and able to turn it into reality. Lesson number 3, don't just ship it. I was deeply inspired by Seth Godin's book, Linchpin. One of my key takeaways from that book was the concept of shipping it. He makes the point that if you don't ship your ideas and make them available to the world, then all the work you put into them is essentially wasted. The ideas need to interact with the world to grow and become something worthwhile, and they can't do that until you actually hit the publish button. At first I embraced this fully, but with time I've realized that the truth is a bit more nuanced than it seemed. Growing up, I was a bit of a perfectionist, taking things slow and steady when writing an essay for school or working on homework, and checking everything over to make sure it was right before turning it in. Reading Linchpin made me change my habits, from careful checks to just sending it. At first it made me uncomfortable, but eventually I was shipping things with wild abandon, left and right, without giving it too much thought. Hit a rough spot in a video? Can't find the right wording? No problem, just ship it and move on to the next one. Stuck on a programming problem? Go for the easy, messy solution and move on to the next problem. I took to setting goals that were focused on completion rather than effort or quality. Some examples included working on Boom for a certain amount of time each day, or producing a YouTube video every week about a technical topic. Taking it to the next extreme, in January 2023, I challenged myself to make a YouTube video every single day. I was able to keep it up for over a month, but by the end of it, I was completely burnt out and confused as to why I spent so much time making such low-quality videos. I was cutting corners just to meet my daily shipping quota. It was at this point that I vowed to return to an earlier time, before metrics, before grind set culture, before shipping, before quantity, and I realized that I needed to focus on quality. When you're just getting started, it can be great to flail wildly, test the waters, and blow up a few spaceships along the way, but this approach has its limits, and I've decided to swing the pendulum in the other direction, at least for me, for now. Lesson number 4, start with what's most important. When an app has a server, it's a lot more complicated than if everything is happening locally. You have to worry about migrating your database, maintaining a schema, and keeping the API synced between the client and the server. Even more headaches abound when you're trying to deploy to mobile. You have to appease Apple, as we saw in the last devlog, and on top of it all, I was adding features that didn't matter, like user logins and leaderboards, before finding a core set of features that effectively taught foreign languages and were fun and easy to use. When I tried to implement features that actually mattered, I found myself buried by a mountain of technical debt and decided to start over. This time, however, I would concentrate on the features that mattered first and eschew everything that wasn't directly related to them. If there was a corner that I could cut, I'd cut it to be able to build the core features faster and better. If it wasn't a core feature, I was going to ignore it. This led to the somewhat radical approach of building the app as a simple website that uses the browser's built-in local storage instead of relying on a server. With this lean approach, I was able to prototype all the important features from the main app that took me months to build in a single weekend. The limitations to this are immense, but the speed with which I was able to iterate was priceless. Dozens of times I cleared the local storage on my browser and started fresh with a new schema. If I had to make these changes to a production app, I would have had to worry about migrating user data, changing the schema, all sorts of other nitpicky concerns. When I'm the only user and I start from scratch, I don't have to worry about screwing anything up. I can just do it. This fast and loose approach seems to contradict my point about quality over quantity, but I don't think it does. The key here is that I'm not publishing this unpolished prototype for everyone to use. Instead, I'm using it as a way to discover the features and app design that are most effective while investing the smallest amount of time possible doing it. I'll probably discard this messy prototype code at some point, but for now, it's getting the job done. Lesson number 5. Do a proper launch. Iteration is great, but the average person trying to use an app will click away after 2 seconds if they're not engaged, and they'll never come back. And that's just if the design is ugly. If a button doesn't do what it's supposed to do, or if an error box pops up and there's no obvious way to fix it, forget it. They're gone, and they won't be coming back. In the past, I wanted to have the latest bleeding edge version of my app available to the whole world. I was basically saying, look everybody, I'm building something. It's not done, but try it out and see how not done it is. I thought it was a waste of time and effort to build a brand for a product that wasn't ready yet. Building a list of people to use something that didn't exist yet seemed pretentious to me. I just wanted to show what was done so far and get feedback. No need to hide anything, right? From the perspective of an engineer, this is logical, but it's terrible marketing. The message that gets sent is that we have no problem putting something out there that doesn't work. That's why I'm going to severely limit the number of people who have access to the latest version of Boom this time around. I may even take the old version off the App Store. I'll still document the process and share what I learn, but until I have something that I'm confident is impressive and useful to language learners, I'm keeping it under wraps. I always learn a ton from shoulder surfing when family or friends try my app. That's why I'm going to allow that shoulder surfing to happen when I can watch, and otherwise I'll save people the pain of trying to use something that doesn't work. Let's take a look at a demo of version 4, the prototype that I built so far. Okay, here's a quick run through. We have the article translator, transcriptions, and cards. The translator is pretty much the same, and we have the library where there are multiple ones to choose from, and you hit translate and it creates a new one. You select whatever your current language is that you speak, or you can paste it in, is also possible if you want to make your own. And it has kind of a neat interface where it breaks up the sentences and has nice colors. Once you have the article, you can click into the translator view, hit translate, and it's basically the same as before. You can translate the entire sentence if you really want to and paste it in. Then it marks it as complete. The transcriptions, you can click onto the transcription and you can see I started this one, but it has a ways to go. It has a link to the YouTube video. Click translate and you get 5 seconds of the video. It plays and then it stops and you can hit play again. You can loop it forever and basically you just type what you hear and then you can take that translation, convert it into English, and you're good to go. And you can just chop the video into tiny pieces. It makes it much easier. You can do this also for songs. That's the new tool that's pretty useful potentially. Similar new interface where you can choose an existing or you can create a new one, paste in the link. And finally, cards. You can have, you can create cards from both, and it's just very simple, correct or wrong, and it updates. And if you get it right, it's right. And there you go. So that's it. So what's next for this Boom app? There are 4 simple elements to my plan as I move forward. Number 1, build something that I personally want to use every single day to learn languages. This will be focused on adding features that I find useful, and I find myself doing anyway through other means. I want Boom to be an integrated solution, so you don't have to hop between Google Translate tabs, Anki review sessions, and random YouTube videos to make progress on your language journey. Number 2, involve others. Get some people to use it and make it so that they want to use it every day too. This can happen in tandem with the previous step. I'll work with a select few to see how they respond to the app. This will help me cover usability blind spots that arise from being the one person who wrote all the code. When you can't just pop open the code and poke around inside to see what's wrong, things definitely look different. So I'm interested in understanding that perspective. Number 3, scale. When the previous 2 steps are complete, I'll have a reasonably high quality proof of concept of a working, useful learning system. Then it'll be time to take that potentially useful product and get it into the hands of as many people as I can. I'm not skilled at sales or marketing yet, but I'm hoping that if I get started, I can fail my way to success like I did while building this app. course, it would be a lot easier if I had someone with business savvy to work with. If you're interested, send me an email. Number 4, monetize. Once enough people are using the app and the features are stable, we can look into ways to make money with this app and make it a sustainable business. I've done research into in-app purchases, subscription models, and licensing, but I have a lot more to learn. This is another place where I'll probably need help from some smart folks with good business acumen and good character. So that's all for this Boom Languages brain dump. I hope you got something out of the lessons that I shared. If you want updates as I make progress, you can sign up for the mailing list to get notified when new versions are available, and subscribe to the PageKey YouTube channel to stay in the know when we publish new videos. Thanks for watching.